Hello, my creepy crawlies, and welcome back to another episode of Ice Cream Queens. And I feel like I'm missing something. Oh, co hosts. Hello, hello.
Hello.
How is everybody doing this evening?
Doing
Hi.
okay.
Doing
Feeling
good.
devilish.
Good day for it. Good day for it. So, this is our favorite stop for ghoulies who want a little bit of a late night snack of horror and pop culture fun, or gothic pop culture fun. I guess it would help to get the line right.
Yeah, we are your
Er.
horror. We are your horror hottie hostesses. We have D'Elle Memphis. I always say that right. It's D'Elle. Sorry.
D'Elle, you're
D'Elle
fine.
Kat Malone. I am Lauren Knight. Hi.
Hello, hello. So tonight we're going to be kind of dipping our toes into the concept of religion and horror and divine horror. And with that said, I want to ask everybody: has everybody seen the new release that's coming out, The Conjuring 3?
No, but I just watched the first two, binge watching that and The Nun.
Oh
So-
my gosh. This looks like the best yet. Absolutely the best yet.
I'm intrigued. I'm wondering where they're going to take it. Is it like a prequel? Is it a later sequel? Does it show or say?
I think it is a continuation of the history of Lorraine. Oh my gosh, I've completely blown what
The main characters.
The main characters. yes, I know who they are. I actually really love them, and I want to go see the museum and everything. I would like to take a moment and just quickly introduce our special guest for tonight.
Whoop, whoop.
It's Ed and Lorraine Warren.
What?
No,
Really?
no, I'm sorry, no. No, I'm sorry.
I was like,
No, but just as good. We have Reverend Omma, and let's bring
All
her in.
right.
Hi, how are you?
Hello.
Welcome.
Thank you. How are you all this evening?
We are doing very
Wonderful.
well.
Yeah, I looked at the clock to go, is it evening? Yeah. All right.
It is, barely.
Awesome. Good. I'm on the right page. Right show. Okay.
Good. Right show. So tell us a little bit about yourself. I know you, but I'm not sure that everybody else is familiar with you. So let's just take a moment and introduce yourself and tell a little bit about how you came to be part of our show this evening.
All of that is your fault.
Yes, it is.
There was sushi and sake, and I don't know what happened, but here we are. No. So no, thank you all very much for having me. My name is Reverend Omma. I am an ordained reverend. I promise. I would not just say that. But myself and my husband are here in Memphis, and we own the Broom Closet, which is a metaphysical store. So we sell all sorts of incense, books, candles, tarot decks. We're open all the time, answering questions, helping people. We do tarot readings. We have a new fun thing that we're doing, which is aura and chakra readings, which we do through computer software. So that one you have to be in person to do that part. But we can do tarot readings online. We have an online store. And I am also an ordained reverend in the Wiccan religion.
Wow.
And I've been ordained, what year is it? For about 5 years now.
Oh,
and
wow.
the store has been open almost 7 years.
Wow. And I know the store actually just relocated to a larger space, and so I'm excited. And I know you through your store and through my husband actually used to do like haunted history tours and everything with you guys. And you are the go-to people for anything that is metaphysical. My daughters visit quite a bit, and so yes. So as you probably guessed tonight, our topic is going to be religious horror. Craig Joseph, who's an artist and former pastor who studied theater and film at Northwest U, said horror film is one of the genres where it is still safe to talk about spiritual matters without offending someone, which I think is kind of ironic. He also went on to say that horror films are some of the most moral films out there because they, more than any other, it's a genre where people can have a clear good and evil, black and white, without the gray area. And I think I kind of agree with that.
So just a quick reminder to everyone, this is a live show. We do invite you to be part of the show. So comment, ask us questions, join in on the conversation. We'll be popping up and answering questions along the way.
I see we have a couple of comments. I saw Willow Schuyler said hello and hey ladies. And then Don Den said hello. So thank you for joining us. And
Hi.
yeah. Before we get started with the true meat and potatoes of the show, I kind of want to take a moment and look at the ice cream. What are we eating, ladies?
Always vanilla.
It's so not you, but so you.
It's just the ice cream. It's the only thing vanilla. It's going to be a running joke on every episode, I swear.
I know.
I don't know if y'all can see me or not because I keep kind of freezing up, or everybody's freezing up on me, but I've got pistachio.
Oh my God.
Something from the horror and the green kind of inspired it, I think. I don't know.
I have to ask, did you make it this time? Because I think last
did.
time you did.
I did make it, yes. And I think I found the recipe on how to make the poor woman's gelato too. So it's actually quite good.
Oh, wow. We are totally going to have to do an episode on like food related horror and just all of the yummy, yummy things.
Attack of the Killer Meatballs.
Yeah.
And Emily, what are you eating? I'm sorry, Reverend Omma, what are you eating? I'm so sorry.
Everybody, no, it's fine.
My bad.
Yes, no, Emily is my given name. Butter pecan, actually.
Ooh.
That's good.
I love butter pecan. That's a good one.
Yeah, it's a classic.
It is.
Very southern.
Exactly.
So, quick question. Let's just go ahead and kick it off and start kind of into the details here. And so, what do you think makes religion such an effective vehicle for horror? Let's go with Kat. Kat, what do you think?
Oh, Lord. Jump right in.
I did.
I think there is a lot of, with religion and horror and the whole divine horror thing, there's a lot of guilt and there's a lot of, I guess you would say, like upbringing and conditioning as far as religion, because, you know, it seems like religion is a very learned type of almost kind of lifestyle. So when you start adding in things that aren't the norm as far as what's in, you know, your religion, people kind of, it kind of makes them a little just squeamish, I think. So I don't know. It's just there's just a lot of gray when it comes to that.
Lauren, what is your favorite religious-based movie?
I don't want to say The Exorcist because it seems like the too obvious of one. I'm going to have to go with Carrie. And I know that's not really a mainly religious one, but I loved the idea of the mother being so overly religious and it affecting her and how it affected Carrie throughout the whole movie.
Good answer. Reverend Omma, how about you? I know you probably have a little different take on what you're looking for when you're seeking out these movies, but what is your favorite?
Oh. I don't know if I've got a good favorite. Midsummer, actually.
Oh, I love that.
Is a recent favorite. Now I think that was the only horror movie I've managed to take my husband to, and the entire time we've been together. But
so let me ask you, when you were watching that, considering your background, was it cringy for you? Did you enjoy it? Was it like just so far off base?
yes, no, all all media, TV shows, movies, even a lot of literature that kind of touches on the topic of the occult or religions outside of like the big three Abrahamic faiths, kind of always get it wrong. And I'm not saying they get it right other times, but there's always a little bit of that's, way off the mark, and this is Hollywood, and they're just perpetuating these stereotypes that kind of may or may not actually exist. But so they're all a little bit cringy in a way, but you just have to know that that's going to happen. Like the TV show Sabrina, the one that was on Netflix, I loved it. It was horrible religious wise.
Yeah.
They were all over the place, but I love it. And I'm not, witches aren't necessarily all Satanists, but they tried. So it's a little cringy. I really did enjoy it though. I felt like part of it was pretty authentic. I spent most of my time, honestly, trying to read the runes that were in, all the clothes and on the door and everything. And I don't know how to read them that well. So I spent a lot of my time going, what is that? So yeah, it was, there are good parts and bad parts to all of that, but I think it was pretty well done. And just the whole idea of the movie was so unique to me that it made up for a lot of little faux pas.
I have another question for you. If you were to write a horror movie that was based around your religion, what would, so what would the basis of the plot be?
You did not give me these questions ahead of time.
I'm so sorry. Well, I want to keep it, we want to keep it natural. So.
If we're being, somewhat realistic, it would probably be somebody just, fighting all of these uphill battles of what we do and who we are, and we don't eat babies, and we, don't worship the devil, and we don't make animal sacrifices, to the point where somebody just loses their mind and goes on a killing spree.
That's fair.
That is fair. That is, totally fair.
No, there would probably be a goat, because, sometimes playing into stereotypes is fun. So we joke a lot about, well, that's where we keep the goat, and, don't bring the goat out. Trust me, if I had a goat, everybody would see it. I really do want a little pygmy fainting goat.
I want a little black
one. The fainting goat.
Yes.
I want a little black one named Philip, and I want to be able to walk it around. I know probably not the best name in the world, but yeah. Sorry, I'm sorry.
No. But Black Phillip was the best part of that movie.
You really what? Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So D'Elle, what's your favorite?
Okay, so I am truly scared. The one thing that really bothers me is exorcism movies, and I think it has something to do with my past and my upbringing and my history. But I would say probably the most frightening movie that I have ever seen, in my opinion, was The Exorcism of Emily Rose. And I think that it was because it presented it in such a manner that, a lot of people look at this and they're looking at these movies and they're thinking that it is supernatural. But here you have a case, a real life case, where you have a person that was possibly suffering from epilepsy. And, one of the most disturbing scenes from that movie was the scene where she was all contorted on the floor. And that was terrifying to me, because I have been in a room with somebody who is locking up like that. And it's like, I know that, but I also, it's kind of a frightening imagery to think that that might be something other than what we think it is. So, but yeah, that one actually, I loved it, and it kind of bothered me and stuck with me, and yeah. So, do you think that the success, I'm going to go back to Kat. Do you think that the success of these movies is based on atmosphere, or do you think it's really based on content?
I'm going to go with probably content, because there's always that unknown aspect that people want some kind of answer to, and some kind of logic behind these type of, I guess you would say like they're hauntings, but they're kind of disturbances in real life. And so when you see it in Hollywood, like you said, it's probably a completely different type of thing that they're portraying it to be, as far as not in real life what it would actually look like. But I mean, it's definitely going to be content, because there's that where people, you kind of want to bring into light that unknown aspect of something. And so there's definitely things there about those types of possessions that people, it kind of creeps people out, because, it happens to religious people, it happens to children, it happens to just pretty much nobody is off the table as far as what kind of thing that could affect. And I think that's why it reaches into the audience of every walk of life.
So I want to jump back to Reverend Omma, and from the perspective of someone who is a pagan background, what frightens you when you see these movies that portray pagan-based themes? Is it the misrepresentation? Or do you find them not to be frightening to somebody with a background in an education?
Honestly, I don't necessarily find them frightening. The horror movies that even get to me are usually like jump scares or torture porn. But for the other ones, like, they're fun, they're nice. I think the stereotypes, the misrepresentation is probably the worst. And again, kind of, I know that before I go in, so I try to put it aside, but sometimes it's really annoying.
Oh, I can imagine. Well, I think that we run into that from all religious perspectives, that the whole concept that that the imagery alone can frighten away scary things. And so I kind of agree that, there's misrepresentation on all different levels. And
we got a good question coming in right here.
We do. Considering movies such as The Prophecy or Constantine, which do you find more frightening, angels or demons? That is good.
They're both supposed to be pretty frightening, actually. Angels are just as, I think, significantly frightening to people as well. So I don't know.
I agree.
That's a tough one.
Mm-hmm.
There is a great line. She mentioned The Prophecy, and there is a great line in that movie where I want to say that it is the main character talks about that people have this pretty fluffy image of, I'm paraphrasing, but this pretty fluffy image of angels. But the truth is they were God's warriors. And if they showed up at your door, it wasn't a good thing usually. And I think there was the reference of one wing being dipped in blood. So I think that was a pretty interesting description of what we think angels, angels really are in description versus what people think they are.
If you get that warrior called to your house, all of a sudden there's business that has to be done, and somehow you're involved. So
one of the things that frightens people, wait, our audience participation question. So what religion-based movie scared you the most? Leave an answer in the comments and we will discuss it. So one of the things that frightens people the most, I think, within their own religion is that there's an idea that you can be separated from your eternal reward at the end of their life. And do you believe that most people, regardless of their beliefs, fear what will become of the essence of their soul?
Yeah, I think that's just a regular human fear. There's no, here is the proof that this is what happens. And so you can be as religious as you want. You can go to church all the time, but still there is that self-doubt in the back of your brain. Is this right? Okay, I'm wanting to believe, or at least maybe that's just a me thing. But there's no 100%, this is the way it is, and this is the right one. So yeah, it's scary just on a human level, because they don't know what's going to happen.
Now, I know that there's also movies that target specifically, one of the things that I found very interesting when I started researching this genre was not because a lot of people associate religion-based movies with stuff like The Exorcist, and The Exorcism of Emily Rose, and it's generally more Catholicism, and there is some essence of Christianity. But one of the things that I found that was really interesting is that there are a lot of other religions that are brought into the realm of horror. I know pagan religions such as Midsummer and Wicker Man are definitely represented, but not the bee. I'm sorry. But one movie that I found that I absolutely loved, and I watched this last night, was The Vigil. And this was a Jewish-based movie. And one of the things that the director was talking about is that when it comes to horror and the representation of Judaism and horror, the only thing that we really hear about is the golem. And this actually was basically the person who sits and oversees the body after death. And it was frightening. It was beautifully done. The acting was incredible. There was music. There was a song at the end that was done, and I do believe the language would be Yiddish. And I mean, it was incredible, and I was very surprised. So with that said, when you started kind of looking into this and researching, were there any movies that caught you off guard? Any like specific religions that you saw horror-wise that might have caught you off guard a little bit?
Children of the Corn. They worshipped the god of corn or whatever they were calling it. I don't even remember. But it was their entire own religion. The God was talking to the kid, and the kid was telling all the rest of the kids what to do, and they were murdering people, and it was just insanity. It was like the most weirdly religious children cult movie thing I've ever seen, which is very specific, so hopefully that's the only one I've ever seen.
Well, you know, plus it involves children too. Like, children are already like, you know, you protect your children. They're all possessed. So
I really think there was a deeper meaning into it, though, with the Children of the Corn. The whole children are very susceptible to believing just whatever and jumping on, oh, this is how it goes. Okay. And so the idea that, oh, this was the religion and that's what they were doing, it can kind of tie back into real life and how kids are just, this is your religion now. This is how you're raised. And this is what you are going to believe. And a lot of people raise their kids that way.
I agree with that. I think that there is some element of what your parents' basic religion is generally what you follow suit, because it's part of your life as you were growing up. And I know it definitely had a huge impact on my life and where I went. And but I do believe now, speaking of children, so I think we've been kind of almost avoiding The Exorcist because that seems to be the original go-to. So Kat and Lauren, I know you both have children. I have to ask, knowing that story and knowing the psychological effects that it had on Linda Blair, do you think that you would ever allow your child to participate in a film of that nature?
Probably, no, definitely not. No, they wouldn't. You know, as far as my kids now, I had a very free range upbringing as far as watching all that. Now, as far as my kids go, I would not probably let them participate in something like that unless they were just filming. I mean, as far as putting my kids in filming anyway, I'm typically not one of those people who's a advocate for pushing children out in front of an audience like that anyway. So definitely not. No.
I would totally let them do it.
Really?
If my kids were like, Mom, there's this movie, I want to audition. It's about they're being like exorcised and I get to be a creepy, weird demon. Can I please go audition? And they'd be like, are you sure that's what you want to do? You want to do it? All right. I would have to, you know, confirm with the rest of the parenting, but I don't see a problem with it. I think it would be a really cool life experience for them.
You know, it's kind of an interesting perspective because I think there are a lot of children in these religion-based horror movies. You have The Omen, which I think that I saw that Karen Knight, which I'm assuming is related, yes, referenced that The Omen scared the crap out of her, and then Omen creeped me out. There we go. I knew I saw it. And then of course, you have The Exorcist, and there are just tons of information about how it psychologically scarred Linda Blair, and and Sawyer St. Cyr, that The Exorcist scared me. It's kind of one of those areas that I personally don't know that I would do it, just because I don't know how it would affect my kids in the long run and everything.
If I were on set with my kids, I would totally be down. I really think when it came to The Exorcist and Linda Blair, the director was trying to traumatize her. They were trying to get an authentic, scared child, and they succeeded.
There are a lot of directors that their goal is to scare, just horrify their actors and actresses. I know this is a little off topic, but you have Alfred Hitchcock was known for doing that with Psycho. So, but yeah, I think that whole area would kind of make me a little bit uncomfortable with my child doing this type of movie, because I know the fear factor. Okay, so anything voodoo related, Karen Knight again, anything voodoo related is scary as hell as well. And Angel Heart, actually,
Yes.
Angel Heart was, I loved that movie. It's been a very long time. And I do love anything that is based around the voodoo religion. I think it is a very interesting practice. And I think it is something that is very natural that you see people not only in the U.S. but outside of the U.S. that, because Reverend Omma, let's ask you. I know you probably have practitioners who come into your store that are, because I mean, if I remember correct, Memphis does have a pretty strong voodoo community, and so you've probably had some interactions with people in that walk of life. And what has been your thought? I mean, I think a lot of people are scared of it, but I don't think they understand it.
Right, and that's the thing that we do, is when we don't understand something, it's scary. I don't understand how to do, sales tax. It terrifies me. Okay, as a business owner, talk about it. Horrifying. Yeah. I've been avoiding it for like 7 years now, but I should probably know better, but I can't say how big our local voodoo community is. It's still a very closeted, secret practice. Now we have a few. There's a gentleman that comes in he's becoming a regular customer, and he does practice. And we talk some, he'll explain some things. I'm like, I don't know that term. Like, what are we doing today? But it's, voodoo, and let me go ahead and throw out Santeria. They're very,
thank you.
I don't want to say similar, but they're sort of cousins in religion. It's basically traditional African religion that was brought over through the slave trade. And because African slaves weren't allowed to practice their own religion, they had to sort of hide it through the religion that was approved, which in the Caribbean, a lot of it was Catholicism. And so it's they worship saints. And this is like their way of hiding their own deities and their own practices. And it sort of becomes synchronized. So it's become its own unique thing that is neither Catholic nor African. Santeria goes the same way. It just kind of depends on where the slave boat landed and what those people did with what they had on hand. Santeria is a little bit more open. I have worked with some of those practitioners and priests. I do not practice Santeria or voodoo, but I do, as we say in my world, I do work with some of those deities. Worship is not an untrue word, but we say work with a lot of times because we will worship them. We will offer them, offerings and prayers and our time and our energy, and they will give us something in return. So we're kind of building relationships. It's not just a one-sided thing. And so I'm somewhat familiar with it, but it's it's not scary. It's not demons or the devil. In fact, a lot of voodoo practitioners that I do know will still say that they are not only Christian, but a lot of them will identify as being Catholic. And one of my good friends and teachers, I made the mistake early on when I met her saying something about, oh, well, you're pagan, because she's a voodoo priestess. She practices Santeria. And she looked at me and said, I'm a Roman Catholic. I was like, sorry. So that, it's a lot of nature spirits and working with the energies of different personalities. How our ancestors sort of tried to find the divine in nature, because how else do you explain any of this? So it's a lot of what we do is very nature oriented, I'm just trying to improve my life. I just need a little bit of extra help. I think it's very beautiful, but it's also still something I don't know as much about as I would like to.
Fair enough. Just a kind of question. It's kind of within topic, but not on topic. Now, we have been through this pandemic, and we have seen a lot of people who are seeking solace. And do you find that over the past year and a half that people are coming to you more with the changes in the world, or do you think that they're shying away from it at this point?
No, we have definitely seen an uptick in people trying to find some comfort, especially in the beginning of the pandemic. Everything was shutting down. Nobody knew what was going on, what was happening to us. I think everybody, to some degree, kind of turned to religion and to their faith and was like, I don't know what's going on. Just help me, protect me, make sure nothing bad happens to me. And so we see that a lot. We also sell a lot of consumables, candles, incense, things that you burn through and need again. And I think people were doing a lot of praying and lighting candles and burning incense and trying to find their Zen spot when they could. So we did notice not only an uptick in business, but in those sort of needs. The other thing that we noticed, especially once everything sort of started reopening, was people just wanted to talk. So suddenly everyone is like, this is what's been happening in my head. And, like me, I can't afford therapy. So here you are. So there's a lot of, here's my problem. But what I really just need is somebody to tell me I'm not crazy and pat me on the back. So we've been doing a lot more kind of impromptu counseling, I think, than before.
Okay. All right. Lauren, I need to ask you, what was your most frightening movie out of or book, or, what did you find most frightening during the research for this episode?
That's a hard question. Religious movies don't really scare me that much. Mm-hmm. I'm not religious. And so the idea of, someone being possessed by, the devil or something like that, I believe in spirits. And so those were probably the ones that would get like the closest kind of scare from me. What was the second? The Conjuring 2 with the girl who was getting possessed. Yeah, that one was pretty good. That one had some good scares through it. The nun coming through with that painting. That one was great.
Her. So did you watch The Nun?
I did. It was so good. It was so good. Do you want spoilers? I will give you spoilers.
Spoilers are fine. Are fine.
All right. So if you watched like the first two movies, you remember in the beginning when they were doing their thing talking about like their presentation, and this was the sky and we exorcised him and a cross showed up on his side and all of that other stuff. Mm-hmm. So The Nun is before where the nun had come from. And so it's like the story and there's the young nun who's helping and the priest and some random guy who is just like, I am just here. Here's where the castle is. I'm going to show you. And yeah. And at the end of it, when it comes all the way back around, everyone survives. Yeah, everyone's happy. And as they're riding off, you see the dude with like an upside down cross in the back of his neck. And then it rewinds and it ties all the way back to that first movie because it was the same guy. And I was just like, because I didn't recognize him and mind blown. It was really cool. I love it when movies do that.
That was actually the Conjuring movies were one of the first movies in a long time that I saw that actually gave me a little bit of a fright. I think I've become somewhat desensitized to horror movies because I do watch them so much. But that was one of the first movies. And I think a lot of it is because Ed and Lorraine Warren are real life people. They had these real life experiences. And I know that it's speculated on what is real and what is not. But, these are people who went into homes and went into different situations, a lot of times not really knowing what they were walking into. And I can imagine that would be kind of a frightening experience for just about anybody. So I want to take a quick break for a moment. We're going to take a few comments if we have any, and then also want to, do we have any comments?
We're popular.
I see that. I think our backstage guy might have fallen asleep then.
Are we on right now?
Yeah. We're on.
Test one.
My screen's been frozen up the whole time. I'm just like, I don't know where we're at, ladies. I'm so sorry.
Oh, I have a question for everyone if there's no questions coming in. What was the worst movie you watched? Because I watched some doozies. Like, what was the really bad one?
Oh, that's a hard one. Oh my gosh.
Donna, I think we were talking about this at one point. We were talking about The Craft being one of the worst.
I love The Craft. Okay, I love The Craft. And it's like, I love it and I hate it because I know, and I'm watching Reverend Omma and she's rolling her eyes and she's going, no.
It was like a teenage flick more so, I thought, than anything.
Yeah, it was.
It definitely is. It was very cheesy. I wanted to watch the second one, but I haven't been able to bring myself to do it as of yet. But
there's a second one. Oh, I didn't know this.
It came out this year. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And so I'm not really sure what the premise is, but I do believe it's almost like a continuation. There were aspects of it that I really enjoyed just because, it was something different that we're not used to seeing. And it was, I know it was a complete and total misrepresentation of the Wiccan religion, but it was also kind of fun. And Nancy Downs, who is the bad witch in that movie, I absolutely loved her. She was so much fun. So yeah, I'm kind of thinking that The Craft is kind of like, it's a guilty pleasure, but it is a really kind of cheesy movie. And I know that's not going to be a popular opinion right now.
People are going to come in the comments just to fight you now.
I think so, probably.
Yeah.
My husband had us watch The Ninth Gate because he was like, oh, that's religious and horror. I hated it. I hated it so much, y'all. Johnny Depp did so good, too. The acting was fine, but the direction was just like, okay, we don't need 5 scenes of them walking through the castle with the guy with the gun behind him. Please, storyline. Can we follow the storyline? It was so slow. And then the end, you're just like, what just happened? Why did I watch all of this to get to that? I was so disappointed.
Actually, I find that to be the case in a lot of exorcism movies because that is one of the types of movies that do kind of spook me. In exorcism movies, I feel that they start really, really well. They have great direction, and it's just like, we're just going to veer off course, and we're going to wreck, and we're going to set this bad boy on fire. And they become a hot mess. There's not many that I have watched that I truly enjoyed at the end, just because I felt like
there it is.
Yes, that was one of the few. There's only been like 1 or 2.
Vomit. The green vomit right there.
Split pea stew.
I was about to say the same thing. I know what I'm having for dinner tonight now.
So I also want to take a quick break because we have some haikus. We thought that it would be kind of fun to put together a couple of haikus around our topic. And who has haikus?
I have to load
Lauren?
mine back up. I have to find it. I sent it to you via the text thing. Hang on 2 seconds. Oh gosh.
Yeah, Lauren had a good one.
Skip me,
She did
skip
have a
me.
good one. Okay,
Oh.
I'll go first. So I have one, unrelenting screams. The demons are at home here hosting a party.
Okay, I found mine. What will scare you more than what goes bump in the night? Losing your control. You can fight solids, but are you able to fight losing your own soul?
I like that. I like.
Yeah.
Okay, so my other one was holy water splash. It's burning my eyes and skin. You're the next to die. We know where we kind of paint myself in those pictures in those movies. So
Dun-dun-dun-dun.
okay, so Reverend Omma, if you could take any movie and redo it, if you could get your hands on the rights to do any of these religious horror movies and redo them completely all over again, is there one that you would like to tackle?
Good question. I don't know that I am that ambitious. Real honest. I'm sure there has to be one horrible one out there that I have seen and just, erased it from memory. It was that bad. I'm trying to think because I've entertained myself with some very bad horror movies over the years. Probably not in this sort of genre of religious horror.
Okay.
Because I was thinking, I know we talked one night about American Mary, which I loved. It's more of a body horror kind of movie, but you could do some things with that. I think that they didn't quite do.
Now, Lauren, how about you? If you could jump in and redo any of these religious horror movies, religion-based horror movies, what would you tackle?
Rosemary's Baby. I would remake Rosemary's Baby. I know it was so good and the original one's so good, and then there's the whole like creep factor with the actress and all of that, but I really think I wouldn't want to like take away that one in my versions in its place, but I would love to just redo that movie as its own like upgraded in the now kind of version of it. Like present day, not at the year that it was then, but like today.
Okay, so this might be a question for the people to leave in the comments or something, but wasn't there a remake? Wasn't there like a made-for-TV remake, like miniseries of Rosemary's Baby or something?
See, now I'm going to have to look for it.
Yeah,
Sounds
now
familiar.
It does. Kat, how about you? If you were to pick one and remake, what would be your choice?
Honestly, I can't think of any that I would remake. I don't know. I think how they were done, a lot of them were done pretty well and pretty creepy. And I know, like how you said, some of them turn into a mess at the end. I think that's kind of, their idea. But I mean, as far as it being a, just something original, just something, I don't know. Here's my thing with these religious horror movies. It's like the 80s, the early 90s. And then after that, everything kind of got, I don't know if it's almost too graphic to the point to where it's so real and almost where it blurs the lines of, you don't know if you're watching a movie or are you like voyeuring in to something that could be a really hot mess of real life type of thing. So my favorites are going to lie within like the 70s into the 90s as far as the religious horror goes. And any of the newer ones, I'm just kind of, I don't know. I have a hard time. I don't get drawn in. So maybe some of those and give it a couple of elements of, I don't know if it's just less creepy or just something to where it kind of grounds the movie a little more. I would have to go with something like that, maybe.
Oh, go ahead.
To jump in, I Googled. There was a mini TV series, Rosemary Baby, from 2014, so I'm going to be watching that later.
I think Sawyer St. Cyr, who is actually, she's a horror hostess, Kat. You need to check her out. I think you would love her a lot. But she
Okay.
said that there was a remake.
Hi.
I saw that pop up. So, has anyone seen Night Child? I have not.
Haven't heard of that one.
Okay, interesting. Murky waters from the abyss. Oh, here, haiku. Murky waters from the abyss comes madness Cthulhu. Stop counting.
I can't do the haikus. Y'all already know I can't count.
Yeah, I liked haikus.
Those were fun.
Yeah.
I kind of want to throw one out there. There is a topic that we haven't really touched on. And so, yeah, I'm going to drop a bombshell on you. So back when I was a church librarian, hosted I just went there. I hosted
Hold on, we just learned something new about D'Elle here.
Yeah. So Donna, D'Elle was in library services, and I was my church librarian. And one of the things that I hosted was a Christian mystery book club, and it was one of those areas where I was able to deep dive into not only mysteries that were written for the Christian community, but also for I found true crime, I found horror, and there's a lot of really interesting horror novels that are in that element, and they're frightening. There's an author by the name of Frank Peretti that wrote a book called House, and it's basically it's kind of a haunted house, but it's like you're trapped in hell type movie. And there was a movie, it was an R-rated movie that was geared towards the Christian community. And it was pretty creepy. It wasn't what you would expect from that element. So, just kind of wanted to throw that out there for y'all.
So what about TV? Like what in the horror TV kind of religion? Because I have a few things I wanted to talk about. I don't know if y'all ever saw Penny Dreadful. There was a lot of
that.
I love that one too.
I love that one too.
There was a lot of religious stuff in there with her being, possessed and the crosses on everything. And it was really scary, like very well done. I liked that one.
That one actually captured my attention, not only because Eva Green. Oh my God, she's yummy. We're just going to leave it at that. She is quite yummy. But the storyline itself, you had Frankenstein and Frankenstein's monster. You had the portrait of Dorian Gray. You had all of this. You had Dracula. You had all of this glorious historical classic horror, and then you had her story kind of woven into it. And she was an incredible character. And I was kind of heartbroken when it went off the air.
Same.
Has anybody watched the second season, or not the second season, but the reboot? There is a reboot that is, I think it's called City of Angels, which is had the one of the actresses from Game of Thrones, and it is very much set in like the Hispanic community and a lot of their religion. You're dealing with the characters basically of life and death. My apologies, I cannot recall their names right off, but it was a reboot. I don't think it was as good as the original, but I do believe, it was interesting to watch. So
I liked it for what it was. It was not another version of Penny Dreadful. I think they used like Penny Dreadful, City of Angels, just to kind of give people some reference to, if you like this, watch this. Same director, same people. But it was a completely different show, completely, from, England to LA. And a lot of the things that they talked about, not that I was alive, but were things that actually happened with the building of this highway through, the Hispanic neighborhood, that they were doing it on purpose. There was this, pre-World War II sort of pro-Germany, quasi-Nazi, and then the outright Nazi element. So it's very political. And I think horror tends to be political in a very sometimes subtle way. But the characters in there, the I guess deities, for lack of a better word, was Santa Muerte, who is a Catholic folk saint, who is gaining popularity. I have worked with her. We don't have a relationship. She was not impressed with me, but but I went to Mexico one too many times, and I thought she liked me, and I tried to bring her home. But she is very popular, very well known. Some of my friends work with her. She's known to be, part very political because she is holy death to the community that worships her and honors her. The Catholic Church does not, but there are plenty of people that do. She's known to kind of give you what you want. She is death. We are all equal to death. Death will come for us all equally. So she will, if you want something, she's likely to give it to you, whether you probably need that or not. So you have to be careful with her. The other character, her bad sister, I don't know where that came from. That drove me crazy the whole time.
I have a question for you, actually. Did you watch American Horror Story? And did you look?
Yes, religiously.
Yeah.
So I was just wondering, how did you feel about the way witchcraft was presented in American Horror Story?
Interesting.
This is going to sound so trite, but Coven was probably the best American Horror Story. Any season of American Horror Story with the witches is probably going to be my favorite, and it is one of my favorites. I think they did okay. They did okay. They did do the thing where they took this figure that appears both in voodoo and in Santeria, and they kind of mashed two of them together and made him the devil, which that was some weird cooking. I don't know how they got there, but Hollywood does that with these characters. And he was hot, so it's fine, but it was just bad writing.
Tim Curry, devil hot? What are we talking about here?
I don't know if you remember, I think it was Coven. They had a guy, I can't remember what they called him. I don't know if they called him Baron Samedi or if they called him Papa Legba. I think it was Papa Legba.
I think it was Papa Legba.
Who is a Lua in the voodoo tradition. He's kind of a gatekeeper. He's the one that you go to and you're like, I want to go talk to this person, or I have this problem, I need help. He's the first person you go to, and he kind of gives you permission. And it's usually a nice person, will help you. But they kind of smashed him with Baron Samedi, who is also a voodoo Lua, who is, let me summarize this very badly, kind of the king of the dead. So they kind of made this new character out of the two of them, but he was kind of sexy, so it was okay.
Fair.
Actually, one of the things that I really, so I'm going to tell you, I liked Coven and I didn't like Coven. The one thing that I did not particularly care about Coven was the complete loss of the feel for the city of New Orleans. I thought New Orleans has so much character and has so much spirit. And it's one of those, I really didn't feel like they captured it. It's like it could be any city that you're walking down. But I loved that they did use real life characters and kind of somewhat told their story. They did and didn't. Because you had Marie Laveau, of course, but you also had Delphine Lalaurie, which is one of my favorite historical storytelling bits from New Orleans that is questionable and not questionable. And it's just, So I love that they incorporated all of those stories and they kind of breathed life into those characters that we've seen images of. But I really kind of think that they missed the feel of the city of New Orleans. I mean, to me, you could have been in Mobile, Alabama, or, Corinth, Mississippi. Not going to have ties there.
Until you mentioned it, I didn't even remember that they were set in New Orleans. It was just, they were there.
Well, and New Orleans is such a spiritual city within itself. And you there's such a vibe. If you say, let's go to New Orleans, I'm like, on my way, I'll meet you there. And there's a handful of places that I love to visit just because of the spirit of the city. And New Orleans is one of those. And I really just think that they totally missed the mark on the feel of the city. But I love the story itself. So
they could have used that better.
I agree.
But they did bring the Axeman in. And that's another New Orleans legend. Yes.
Yes, and that's a true story. I absolutely, I find myself kind of looking that one up because I did not recall that one. But the Axeman basically was, if you weren't partying and listening to jazz music, if you didn't have a jazz party during that era, he would kill you. He would, that was his cue to skip your house if you were having a jazz party. I'm like, that is so New Orleans. If you're not partying, drinking, and listening to jazz, come on now. So we are coming up on the top of the hour, and I want to just take a quick moment, and I see we have a few more comments. Constantine TV series was short-lived, but it was really good, and I agree. I agree. And I know that so many people worship Joan Crawford and whatever happened to Baby Jane, and I shudder to think about it. You know what? As much as I love vintage movies, in old movies, I don't know that I've ever watched that one. Not sure if cult celebrities count as religions, but just throwing that one out there. Okay. All right. So just kind of want to take a moment and just say thank you, Emily, or Reverend, I keep doing it. I'm so sorry. Reverend Omma, for joining us. And thank you so much. And so where can people, if they want to come see you and they want to have their chakras read, because that sounds absolutely glorious, and I am looking to do that very soon. Where can they find you?
They can find, usually hiding somewhere. No. So the best place to start would be our website, thebroomclosetmemphis.com. You can go on there. You can book your aura and chakra reading, your tarot readings, kind of shop around if you want to. We do have the online store. We ship. You can come pick it up. And if you are in Memphis and want to come see us, we are downtown on South Main Street. We are in the Arcade building. So the Arcade restaurant is this big landmark. It's well known. So they're kind of on the corner there. And we are at 552 South Main Street. We did just move there a couple of weeks ago from another place in that building, but we needed more room. We needed a bigger building. So we're now at 552 South Main.
Okay. All right. I want to give a couple of quick thank yous. I want to say, first of all, thank you to Geek Gumshoe and Toy Robot Visual Arts, who's basically working behind the scenes and kind of trying to keep us together. And I understand this is a bit of chaos to work with this group. And I want to say thank you to John Pica and the crew from Back of the Cereal Box for letting us have this opportunity and come do this. And if you want to find out about sponsoring our show, if you want to be part of this show, if you have a topic you think we should cover, please contact us, because we are seeking guests. We are seeking sponsors. We are seeking all kinds of things. So please call us. And looks like I need to go to Memphis. Yes, you do. You need to come to Memphis, please.
Come on down.
Yep. Yes.
All right. So that is it for tonight's episode. If you were vaguely entertained by the hot mess, that is us. Be sure to follow us on whatever platform you're watching from and share with all of your favorite creepers.
Be sure also, guys, join us not next Sunday. It'll be on May the 9th, and it'll be the Goth Horror Hour once again. And when we go and explore the mothers of all horror. So we hope that y'all will come and join us the next time, and we hope to see you then.
That will be fun. And until next time, night night and pleasant dreams or pleasant screams. Crap, I'm like, bye.